ahead.
Alrighty， 起立，面向佛堂，参加三鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参加各位点传师一鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated. Please go ahead and begin by talking about the daily ritual, which I know you are keeping up with on a daily basis. I can fill in a little bit more about the seasonal.
Absolutely, and thank you. First of all, before we get into the hows and the whys, we should probably clear up what I find very often to be an area of great misunderstanding in terms of the keeping of the rituals. Anyone who comes into contact with an I-Kuan Tao house shrine or there at the temple instantly has their attention drawn to the figurines that sit on the altar table and to the items on the offering table that sit in front of that the altar table. And very frequently, particularly here in the West, that creates an instantaneous mental image of all of us bowing and kneeling in worship to a bunch of ceramic statues. Nothing could be further from the truth. That just is not the case. There are a variety of personalities within the rituals that we feel it is important to show veneration for and an appropriate and profound amount of respect for. Many of these personalities are sages from a long time ago who walked this path before us and left us with a tremendous body of knowledge and wisdom that we can incorporate into our practice of cultivating the Tao teachings to help smooth our way. In the case of this particular temple, and even more finitely in the practice of my own house shrine, the memory also of Senior Master Yang is preserved. I do not know if they continue to do the additional koshos for Senior Master Yang there during the daily rituals or not. But here, I've added an additional 100 koshos to my personal ritual for her. Senior Master Yang was very, very special to me, and in turn, I think, very special to her. And she made it a mission of hers to try and help educate me and help me to attain the authentic and genuine Tao. And for her, because she didn't speak a lot of English and I speak virtually no Chinese, that was a real chore. And she did it with grace and aplomb and clarity and wisdom and patience that I still wonder to this day how I deserved. Okay? So, but anyway, to get to the point, the purpose of the rituals is to give us the ability over time to turn our gaze inward, to venerate and respect and learn and attain the disciplines and virtues that are represented by the figurines that sit on the altar table. There are typically three that you'll see most anywhere you go. Those are the Buddha Jigong on the left. He's the current Buddha, the great teacher. It is said that when the ordained masters speak, that they speak as the representative of the Buddha Jigong. Okay? I would like to think every now and again that if I do something particularly useful or helpful, it was by that same divine mechanism. In the center is the Buddha Maitreya. That's the Buddha who's yet to come. The Buddha Maitreya is always depicted with a large stomach and a happy expression, and sometimes with a container of gold or silver or a bag with stuff in it. The reason for the large stomach is because, well, in the West, when we say somebody can carry a lot of responsibility, when they can lift the world, as it were, that we say that person has broad shoulders. In China, they say that person has a large stomach. And his countenance is always happy and joyful because he's able to do that with a smile on his face and a song in his heart. And that's the virtue that we're all called to emulate. Particularly those of us who've chosen to try to both attain the Tao and to teach it. That's an additional level of responsibility, and we're not supposed to gripe about it. I will tell you very honestly, in all the years I've been doing this, I have never once felt bad about doing it. It's never been a chore. It's never been a burden. It's never been anything that I've ever regretted. And I think, every now and again, going down the path, that what we're doing here has actually been useful and helpful to some folks, and that makes me happy in my heart. On the far right of the altar, typically, is a figurine of the Bodhisattva Guanyin. She and I have a very special relationship that I'm not going to go into right now, but she's often referred to as the thousand-hand Bodhisattva. She's the Bodhisattva of mercy and grace. She typically tends to appear to people as whatever it is they need to have help and assistance in their moment of need. And so to different people, she appears in different visages. I can't think of anything more wonderful or more useful than someone who pops up next to you with exactly what you need to get through your crisis. And that's kind of what she does. Like the figurines, we're called upon to behave in a like manner, to be what another person needs to find the Tao, to carry the responsibilities and work that we have to do, not only in our secular life, but in our spiritual life, without grumbling and without complaining and without making a big deal out of it, and without self-aggrandizement. Like the Buddha Qigong, we're to keep ourselves simple, perhaps even to appear somewhat foolish, if you will, to the world at large. Very often, if you look at the figurine of the Buddha Qigong, he's dressed in kind of a patchwork outfit, and sometimes has a jug of wine with him and a big smile on his face. I believe it's chapter 42. Part of what that says is if when an inferior person or an unwise person hears of the Tao, they laugh out loud at it. If they didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Looking at that figurine, I'm always kind of reminded of that statement, that to those who have the karmic affinity for the Tao teachings, that Buddha is not a fool, but a friend. And to those without the affinity, the whole thing looks perfectly silly. The rituals give us both a means of physically disciplining the body, to free the mind, to unite with the spirit, the true self. It takes a certain amount of physical rigor to get through the rituals, and the seasonal rituals are longer than the daily rituals. There are a large number of other personalities involved in the seasonal rituals than are in the daily rituals, and there can be even more involved than that, depending upon other rituals and rites that are performed for various things. I don't remember how many bows we did during the Qingkou when we installed my shrine, but I'm here to tell you it's a lot. But over time, all of that exercise and the repetition of the rituals kind of helps to turn the conscious thinking mind off and allow the subconscious and the true self to come together with the spiritual essence of the Tao itself. It's said that during the rituals, The entire space of the shrine and around the shrine is protected sacred space. And there's actually a pretty good description of that. It can be found on the internet, although it's not, I don't think, intrinsic to our particular golden thread. But it is available, that explains kind of the spiritual transformation from both a metaphysical and psychological perspective that might be useful to you if you wanted to study it. I'm not going to try to recite the whole thing right now from memory, but I'll be happy to go look it up and talk about it one week. The most important thing, once again, is not that we're carrying on some kind of transactional prayer-based relationship with a personified deity somewhere. This isn't the prayer of, oh Lord, if you let me pass this test, I'll never, ever, ever do whatever again. That's not how it works. That's not what it does. This is a process of introspection, of turning ourselves inwards, of learning about ourselves in complete and brutal honesty, and then bringing about the transformations of the Tao teachings within ourselves. Those are the really important things. Okay? It's also important to note that the things that go on the offering table represent the very best of what we have. Completely vegetarian offerings. Nobody'd want to put a cheeseburger up there. That's not appropriate. But you take from what you have to give. Okay? It's not meant to be a sacrifice that sacrifices until it hurts. But it is the symbolic act of giving up, of letting go, of getting rid of something that we may have put value in for a higher purpose. And the importance of doing that from time to time cannot be overstated. If we allow clutter to take over our lives in any way, shape, or form, then we diminish by that amount our ability to absorb and to understand spiritual wisdom. The gateway of the heart only opens one way, and that's out. So if we can't give, we can't ever receive either. Okay? So, in kind of a nutshell, without burning too terribly much time, I think those are kind of the salient points in the rituals. Like I just told Derek, I have not spent a great deal of time discussing the seasonal rituals with the ordained masters, and so I'm not going to step into where my ignorance would be wonderfully displayed. I'm going to avail myself of Derek's wisdom and understanding as my older Tao brother, and I'm going to learn something here myself. Thank you all very much.
Okay, Bill, thanks. So to illustrate some of the things that you were talking about, I'm just going to show on the screen share, this is the image of the Maitreya Buddha. So I think, there is, obviously, Bill, there is a need for us to probably present more of a complete discussion one day. It seems like there is some interest in that. So those who are listening in, if you are indeed interested, let me know, let Bill know, and we'll plan a talk around that. So Bill is the owner of a shrine, and therefore he's the lead when it comes to the religious aspects of the Tao. I myself walk a more secular path, but I am happy to help explain some of these principles and also some of the historical figures. So the Maitreya Buddha is not the original founder of Buddhism. The Maitreya Buddha originally was the Buddha that was in the prophecy. You probably didn't know that Buddhism had prophecy, but yes, indeed, there was prophecy in Buddhism. In Buddhism, the prophecy was that at an unspecified time in the future, there will be a Buddha that comes to help spread the teaching, of the Buddha. The name given to this Buddha to come is the Maitreya Buddha. So and the image of the Maitreya Buddha in the original formulation of this Buddhist prophecy was a skinny fellow, not a corpulent, portly person. If you were to go to Korea or Japan or some outlying regions of Asia today, you may see a temple for the Maitreya Buddha where the image is completely unlike the Chinese conception of the Maitreya Buddha. So where did the Chinese conception of the Maitreya Buddha come from? Well, it's actually a historical person. This was a monk who lived hundreds of years ago, and he was somewhat of a legendary figure. He actually shows up in martial arts novels and magazines as being, a monk that was not only portly but also possessed of, powers of the Buddha as well as martial arts expertise. So it is said that when he passed away, shortly before he passed away, he revealed that he was the incarnation of the Maitreya Buddha, visiting the mortal plane. So this concept caught fire among the Chinese in ancient Chinese culture, and therefore from that point on, the image of the Maitreya Buddha for the Chinese had become the image of this particular monk who was a historical figure who was a big guy. And especially because the nature of the Chinese has always been very positive and cheery and wanting to emulate those qualities. So they set up this, what you see in Chinese restaurants all the time, is the image of this particular Maitreya Buddha. The moment you see it, you know that the Chinese, the restaurant is owned by people who are ethnically Chinese. Perhaps they come from Vietnam or Cambodia or some outlying regions away from mainland China, but if they have an image or a figurine of the Maitreya Buddha, then they are ethnically Chinese. So, and that's because this particular Buddha symbolizes generosity and abundance in that specific order. So the belief among the Chinese is that if you live life joyously like he does, and if you are happy all the time and generous and giving, big stomach is symbolic of that, then you will also be receiving abundantly. If you give abundantly, you will receive abundantly. Thus, generosity leads to prosperity. That's the reason why so many businesses owned by the Chinese have the Maitreya Buddha.